Okay, good afternoon. It's Steve Bates at the BIA here for the BIA webinar in October on the devolution debate. I realise that we're on a slightly different time to normal, always good to try an innovation. And I've got a few slides on where we're at with regard to devolution post the party conference. I'm going to get started because we said we'd do this at the top of the hour. If there's any questions, I'll be very happy to take people's thoughts or comments either via the chat or via the people speaking. So I hope this is of use, and away we go. So I think the key thing from the BIA's perspective that we've picked up really from the party conference season and the beginning of the political calendar in the autumn here in London and Westminster is that things are moving very fastly following the decision by Scotland to stay in the UK. We've already seen earlier this month the command paper published, which reflects the party's views on the main party's views on a thing called the Smith Commission, which is a short-term working group set up by the UK government to agree the powers on tax spending and welfare that may be devolved to Scotland by the end of November, and the work of that commission is underway. They're supposed to come up with a unifying set of proposals to lead to publication for new clauses for a Scotland Act. I think that's by Burns night, for those of you who follow this in detail, and then there's planned to be a second reading in Easter or June. The thought being here that this is what was promised by the main parties ahead of the devolution referendum earlier this year. One of the things I find useful is to understand what's actually devolved at the moment and what is reserved, and I hope this picture gives you a good idea. The key thing I think from a BIA member businesses perspective is that although health and NHS Scotland and the spending within the healthcare system and the structures of the healthcare system are devolved, the things that are reserved are macroeconomic policy, shown by the briefcase in the blue section, and that really has within it all of the things around tax and the fiscal schemes that most of the companies that we work with have operated in. And what's important to remember is really that the Scotland Act of 2012 has added a few changes that are already going to become devolved by 2015 and 2016. These are in train to happen, and there are things around stamp duty, land tax, landfill tax, some increased borrowing powers, and the Scottish rates of income tax are already on the roster to happen in 2015 and 2016. I don't think they're, by and large, the key drivers for businesses, but they are already changing. So I hope that's useful. I think if you look at the core issue that matters for BIA members in this current discussion is that the bundle of things that we care most about for BIA member companies that fit within the wrapper of corporation tax, so things like R&D tax credit, corporation tax rates, those things fit within this discussion in terms of policy. And it doesn't look from the initial positions of the main parties at Westminster that there's going to be significant support for these to become devolved measures as part of the Scotland Act. And I think you can see here from the three main Westminster parties, the Conservatives, Labour and Liberal, in their submissions, that they're not suggesting the devolution to the Scottish Parliament of these things. Likewise, from the Labour Party, they also are not suggesting that corporation tax become part of this, and the same from the Liberal Democrats. Interestingly, their position is that they should be continued to be operated and collected at UK level, but proceeds raised in Scotland should be assigned to the Scottish Parliament, and that might well have implications for the life science sector. The view of the SNP, the Scottish National Party, is of course slightly different to this, and they think that full responsibility for corporation tax should transfer to the Scottish Parliament. And I think the key thing here is that although this debate at the moment technically is floating around solely as what to do in Scotland post the Scottish referendum, actually this has been linked politically by particularly the Conservative Party into another debate, which is certainly affecting England, on English votes for English laws. And immediately after the day of the Scottish vote, David Cameron said that the key thing to be decided was also English votes for English laws. They've put in place at Westminster a process to make this move forward, a cabinet committee spearheaded by William Hague, but there's been a heated debate in the House of Commons already, with the suggestion that there's a vote at the end of November. However, the Labour Party hasn't really engaged with that process, and they want this tackled through a constitutional convention to deliver a formal settlement for nations, regions and cities by autumn next year. Their argument is this is being rushed and can't be done by a cabinet committee. The Liberal Democrats have mooted support for a convention and argued really that we're heading towards a federal Britain. And at the same time, this has become a bit of a row as the SNP has accused Westminster of hijacking the debate and reneging on the vows that it made in the run-up to the referendum. Wales at the moment, I suppose, is, in our view, taking a look-see at what's going on here, but not being as active in the debate in Westminster or as heated as the debate is in Scotland. So what this means, I think, from our perspective, is that this is obviously going to be a key issue that's going to suck up political time, energy and focus for the forthcoming months. And we'll keep a weather eye on this with regard to the sector as to what this could mean for us. Will the Scotland Bill get through and what will it contain? If the English votes for English laws piece gets through, what will this mean across the four nations? And already we're seeing, if there's a discussion around the UK Constitutional Convention, what could this mean for regional and city levels? For instance, there was calls at the party conferences for a Devo for Manchester to be considered. What could this mean with regard to city deals and lets? But if we've seen the rejection of directly elected mayors in a number of towns and cities, and the abolition of regional development agencies, how does that economic piece operate at a sub-national level? And I think from our perspective, we're keeping an eye on excuse me, the risks and opportunities for the life science sector. I'd be interested in views as to whether people think that we should be calling for the retention of a UK-wide corporate tax policy, and maybe there's opportunities to push for outcomes at a more local level. I'm particularly interested if there is a strong view amongst membership for that to happen. So I think that was where I was going to get to on devolution. I wonder if there's any participants who have a view or would like to make a point at this time. If not, I hope that's given you a brief update as to what we're doing with regards to the devolution debate. I think it's one for us to monitor. We will consider whether we need to do a submission to any of these pieces, and I look for input, because I think although this is a strategic discussion, the fiscal framework for UK life science has been one of the things that has made us a very attractive place for businesses to be located, and obviously any change to that is significant, and if we ended up with a variety of positions on this, then I think that will be something the sector would be keen to know, particularly if the debate moves, as I believe it will, from one which is simply about England and Scotland to one within England and within England, Wales and Northern Ireland. Rather than keep you for a long time on this Friday afternoon, I'm just going to point you in the direction of a couple of things. If you weren't at the Bioscience Forum last week, you may have missed the publication of our UK Lifesize Manifesto. This is available on the BIA website and is a substantive piece of work where we've pulled together what we believe, what members have asked us to lobby government for into a thematic document with some of your concerns. It also sets out, I think, fairly clearly some of the benefits that the sector brings and some facts and stats in an accessible format, largely aimed at parliamentarians, but always useful to know things like that medical research charities invest over $1 billion in UK medical research a year, or that we lead Europe in the amount of capital raised and financing rounds. So a good document if you've not had a chance to see it. We also, of course, published the State of the Nation report in conjunction with EY, and I was delighted to see that this document showed the UK remains the largest biocluster in Europe, the leading biocluster in Europe, developing over 460 product candidates in 2013. And there's some good detail in that report also on our website around how financing has happened, not only last year, 2013, but we updated it through to June 2014 because of the number of IPOs that have happened in our sector. So I think if you're interested in what's going on in our sector, that's a good read, good flick through. If you're interested in other events the BIA is doing, we have our regulatory dinner next week on healthcare innovation and regulatory decision making. We've got a fabulous lineup of key regulators joining us there, and it'll be great to see you there. If you're in the north, love to have you for breakfast on the 19th of November. There've always been good events, and it'll be great to be in Manchester then. Bioprocessing is a key conference about how do you take the great ideas that we have and some of the fantastic breakthroughs and turn them into practical products. I like to think that this is the trick that our bioprocessing community do, is take what could be described as the winning cakes in Great British Bake Off and turn them into something that can be delivered in every Tesco's up and down the land. There's a whole host of skills that are there. That's the community where they get together. Excellent conference agenda, keynote speakers, and a great exhibition as well. So I'm really looking forward to that in Liverpool in November. And as ever, gala dinner, the last Thursday of January. It's well on the way to being sold out this side of Christmas. And if you're interested in joining us, do please consider it very soon. I think from my perspective, that was all I was looking to run through today, but I do have some time if there's anybody got any thoughts, questions, concerns, or comments they'd like to make. The floor is yours. I've counted to 7 in my head, which is always the way that you do it on WebEx, in my view. I take it that there's nothing that people want to comment from the floor. These slides will be available, and this recording will be available through the BIA website in a few hours' time. So with that, unless there's anything further, I propose that we end this webinar, and hope you've enjoyed it, and look forward to seeing you at a BIA event quite soon. Thanks very much. Bye.